It's Friday, December 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. $221 million. That's how much Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, customers are owed in credit to their bills. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, announced its approval of the phased payments on Thursday for compensation payments for breaches of the guaranteed standards by the Light and Power Company between March 2020 and September 2021. The decision comes after Minister of Science, Energy and Technology Darrell Vaz turned down the JPS's request for a wholesale suspension of the guaranteed standards. The minister communicated his final decision to JPS in a letter dated October 7, 2021. The OUR says JPS requested a payment schedule citing cash flow issues, and the regulator had approved the schedule after validating the accuracy of JPS's figures. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has been named Governmental and Institutional Travel and Tourism Ambassador, GITT. He received the award from Chairman and CEO of Tourism Optimizer Platform, Diego Fuentes Diaz. GITT is a new concept within the tourism industry. The minister was awarded on December 2 during a meeting with Diaz in Madrid, Spain, to discuss a possible partnership with Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center to develop the world's first tourism resilience barometer. The barometer will measure the resilience of destinations and determine their ability to respond and recover effectively from a crisis. Minister Bartlett is currently in Spain attending the 24th session of the United Nations World Tourism Organization's General Assembly. He is scheduled to return on December 5, 2021. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the rapid evolution of viruses, specifically the coronavirus, highlights the need for more advanced diagnostic tools.
In this regard, Madam Speaker, the country acquired, as was announced, in late October, a genome sequencing machine to test for COVID-19 variants locally. Currently, we are finalizing, Madam Speaker, training dates with the manufacturer and selecting the samples that will be used during the training period.
The minister says his team has been working to acquire a second sequencer machine.
And there is a global demand for the training and the experts who are limited for commissioning this type of machine. And the reports I have from the University Hospital of the West Indies coordinating with the ministry's personnel is that, in a sense, we're in a queue. But we do expect that those personnel will come in, hopefully over the next week or so, for training to take place, and all is set for the testing and for the personnel, so we can go right into it, even as we build out to acquire a second machine.
Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday, Dr. Tufton says while they await the completion of these facilities, the ministry will continue to send samples abroad for testing. The move to acquire a second genome sequencing machine to test for new coronavirus variants follows news of the latest variant being detected in several countries across the world. The OMICRON variant has now been detected in at least 5 states in the U.S. after multiple states announced their first cases of the strain on Thursday night. Experts have warned that Omicron's significant number of mutations could erode the protection offered by antibodies, especially those from a previous infection. In the Caribbean, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, says it will continue to provide updates and guidance about the new coronavirus variant, Omicron, when available. Speaking during PAHO's weekly COVID-19 digital media briefing this week, Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, said researchers globally are actively conducting studies to better understand the variant.
Omicron has been designated a variant of interest by the World Health Organization, WHO. It's not the first variant of COVID-19. However, the PAHO boss, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says vaccination is still key to ending the pandemic.
The more COVID-19 circulates, the more opportunities the virus has to mutate and to change. And that's why it is crucial that we expand vaccinations to all. So far, only 54% of people in Latin America and the Caribbean have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. So our region remains especially vulnerable.
Health authorities are urging people not to panic over the emergence of the Omicron coronavirus variant. They say it's too early to see if COVID-19 vaccines would have to be modified to fight it. Dr. Etienne explains.
The virus still needs to be isolated to conduct neutralization tests, and this process will take some time. Until this test and other laboratory assays are completed, we will not have enough evidence to determine the degree of transmissibility or severity of the Omicron variant, or to assess the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccines against it.
Dr. Etienne advised that Brazil and Canada are the only regional countries where Omicron has so far been detected, adding that wide-scale continuous testing is important.
And that's why it's important that countries redouble their surveillance efforts, share sequences with the Genomic Surveillance Network of the Americas, and report any Omicron cases to the WHO. Speed and transparency are especially critical at this time. But above all, we urge people not to be frightened. Today, the most important thing that people can do to protect themselves is to get vaccinated and to reduce their risk of exposure to the virus.
Dr. Etienne assured that PAHO continues to closely track the other variants across the region, pointing out that Delta remains the predominant variant in the Americas.
Tuesday, December 1 was recognized as World AIDS Day. As the island joined the global recognition of this disease, Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, JASL, has opened a pharmacy for people living with HIV. JASL's Executive Director, Candice Levermore, says the facility will help eliminate the fear of discrimination among people living with HIV who try to access medication. Named Life's Work Pharmacy, it is located at the organization's Kingston office and will also facilitate people in need of other medication. In today's extended business report with Gabriel Thompson, we get our usual market updates, as well as financial coach Denise Williams gives us a breakdown on having an investment crisis toolkit.
In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, December 2, the US dollar sold for an average $156.28. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $123.51. The pound sterling traded for $210.49, and the euro sold for an average $173.48. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 6,478 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 91 stocks, of which 29 advanced, 51 declined, and 11 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 29 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Burrito Investments Limited, and Blue Par Group Limited. Trading firm were Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, and Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU deferred share. JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader with over 49.8 million units, followed by Kingston Wharves Limited with over 21.1 million units, and the JMMB Group Limited cumulative redeemable preference share with over 3.1 million units. In market data for oil, prices climbed on Friday, extending gains after OPEC Plus said it would review supply additions ahead of its next scheduled meeting if the Omicron variant dents demand, but prices were still on course for a sixth week of declines. Brent crude futures rose $1.19 or 1.7% to $70.86 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose $1.19 or 1.8% to $67.69 a barrel. In this edition of Financially Focused, financial success coach Denise Williams takes a look at the Investment Crisis Toolkit, offering advice on how to never lose money in the stock market. Denise says the stock market is a key tool to get extra income. She believes all you need is the right plan of action.
So if you know how to give instructions, you can really make the most of the money no matter what the economy is doing. And again, a lot of persons are afraid to invest. But it's really just lack of knowing what to say, what to do. And then, oh my God, the economy is doing great or the economy is doing bad. It's about having a plan. There is a school of thought. A lot of experts say when something's happened to the economy, like, last year, the COVID shock, who knows, what's coming forward, that when that happens, you don't do anything, right? You just sit, keep quiet, watch your portfolio go down. And there's another school of thought that you should have a plan of action. I'm in that school of thought of the plan of action. So let's talk about the plan. Here's the thing. You want to dodge big declines with a plan, okay? Now, one of the things I share in my coaching with my clients is looking at 7 big themes that help you beat any recession, any economic change. And for the clients who really want to deep dive, there are 41 industries in most stock exchanges, the New York Stock Exchange, the Toronto Stock Exchange, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And in each category, there are key flags. So even if you don't understand the numbers, we look at red flags, when to buy, when to sell. That's the deep dive we go into. And so that helps you to dodge the big declines because you have a plan. The plan, though, and the objective of all of this is to go back into the market when the prices are low. Take aggressive action, okay? And we're going to explore what that means. So what is aggressive action? You're going to sell 10% of your stocks and equities position. So you would have been okay regardless of what happens next. But in case of some, what we call a black swan, like COVID, no one knew it was coming. So that's a black swan. You're going to sell 10% of your equities position, okay? Then you're going to take the cash and you're going to hold it and wait to buy. So you're going to wait to buy with the cash you have, because when there's a market crash, there's an opportunity. And crash is relative. Crash is not gone down to zero. Okay, usually a crash is 10 to 20% lower. So let's keep we're keeping our emotions in check. You want to buy stocks at the point of maximum fear. Last year, when was maximum fear? About June. So March, the lockdown started to happen. But by June, people started to realize really what a lockdown meant. And they got antsy. And so that is, the point of maximum fear. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, how would I know that? You can say that now because time has passed. That's true. But again, if you have your checklist, if you have the support, if you're in a safe space where we talk about investments all the time, you will be more in a position to be ready to buy, ready to act. And what does that mean? You'll squeeze more income out of your portfolio. You will not be in a position of, I'm afraid. You'll be in a position of, I can act. I am empowered. That is what the whole purpose of this is, to empower you to act, to, get you in a position to learn more about how to get your banker to work harder for you, because you need the banker, you need your investment advisor, you need your account rep, you need your financial team, and they're paid a commission to act. But make sure you're in a position to give them instructions, so that they act in your favor.
Thanks, Denise. For more information on the development of your financial future, head on over to financiallyfocusedmedia.com or find Denise on YouTube at Financially Focused. And with that, we close this extended edition of the Business Report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
We turn our attention to other news across our region. In Grenada, the Ministry of Education plans to continue its focus on various aspects of the educational sector and make the necessary changes needed to deliver a better educational platform for students. So says Education Minister Emmeline Pierre, who outlined her ministry's plan for the year 2022 with skills training set as a priority.
Minister for Education Emmeline Pierre says her ministry will continue to focus heavily on skills training in schools throughout the state of Grenada, as they will be offering a variety of CVQ certificates in different fields. This is important as the demand in the skills sector increase, not just in Grenada, but around the world.
Mr. Speaker, the issue of skills training, we are expanding that within our secondary schools. And Mr. Speaker, that has to be an area of top priority as we look at the role of TVET and skills training in the transformation of our society. Mr. Speaker, very critical for this government's agenda of transformation. Mr. Speaker, we are expanding the number of schools that are offering CVQ to our students for all levels and interests of our students as we continue in the new year.
Minister Pierre, in her contribution to the 2022 budget presentation on Tuesday, also announced that plans are already in place to not only offer this training to students, but also communities, generating jobs and reducing the unemployment rate.
But Mr. Speaker, not just at our schools, and I've always said this, 2:30, we shouldn't be closing schools. 2:30 is when the people who are not in the regular 8 to 2:30 class should be coming in. And Mr. Speaker, this year we have been piloting in communities as it relates to offering opportunities, people who are employed, people who are unemployed, to take advantage of how can I acquire a skill, how can I be certified, how do I develop the competencies so that I can create employment, I can generate employment, but I can be self-employed. And so, Mr. Speaker, we forged...
The ministry will also undertake an intense review of the island's curriculum, as they will be undergoing the training and development of curriculum officers.
Mr. Speaker, of course, training and development of curriculum officers would be a critical focus as we go into this new period. Greater support for teachers on the ground would be a critical focus in the new year, and our curriculum officers have been challenged in that regard with their new terms of reference. Mr. Speaker, we must review the number of compulsory subjects that every student is compelled to do at the beginning of their secondary school life. We must review this.
For GBN News, I am Rena Pierre Thomas reporting.
St. Lucia's Planned Parenthood is on a mission to educate the country's youth on the many services available at its reproductive health center. The call comes against the backdrop of the shocking discovery of a human fetus at a school on Monday. More details in this HTS News Force report.
As you know, abortion is illegal in St. Lucia, all right? And we at Planned Parenthood, all we do counseling. Counsel them, give them options, and then we tell them visit their gynecologist.
A recent discovery of a concealed booth at a school in the north of the island has prompted discussions regarding sexual reproductive health services and education for youth.
St. Lucia Planned Parenthood has a program in all secondary schools on the island. We call that PAHO education, where we go to the schools and we inform and educate the students on different aspects of sexual reproductive health, family life, and so forth, whereas they can help their own peers. Now, within that program, we're getting a lot of children coming out and telling us about their problems, but we at Planned Parenthood do not take it on our own. We work with all guidance counselors on the island.
Educator for the Planned Parenthood, Patricia Bisset Modest, says Planned Parenthood strives to work with vulnerable groups as well as school leavers. On the topic of sex culture in St. Lucia, the educator notes the high IQ of youth craving for more information.
With the program we have in the schools, we also have meetings with parents, because a lot of parents think when we talk about sex to their students, we're actually telling them how to do the act, but it's not like that. We're talking about abstinence, and if you cannot wait, use a condom, because abstinence is the best. We don't push contraceptive on underage young women, because 16 is age of consent, and under 16 we can't do that. You understand? If they have to get contraceptive, they have to bring a guardian or mother. So what we do, we inform and we educate them on the different issues that they have.
The veteran sex educator says on the path to enlighten and educate youth, she is often challenged by young teeming minds.
I have to do my reading too, because when I go to the school, they're challenging me, the kind of questions that they're asking me. You can see that these children are hungry for information. And I always tell them, there's nothing wrong in saying no. When you say no, it's your body. You need to control your body, and at the same time, be assertive. Whatever you say, be assertive.
A current program dubbed Girls Are Not Mothers is underway, where sex educators venture to various secondary schools to answer the pertinent questions posed by the youth. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris announced during a parliamentary sitting that the proposed reduced value-added tax rate days has been altered to become 2 consecutive days. Glenn Bart reports.
Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris announced during a parliamentary sitting that the proposed reduced VAT rate days has been altered to become 2 consecutive days. According to Dr. Harris, who is also the Minister of Finance, the original reduced VAT rate days were slated for December 16th and 18th. But on 30th November, the Cabinet considered the change following a proposal from the St. Kitts and Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce.
Cabinet has approved the revised dates provided by the Chamber of Friday 17th and Saturday the 18th as the new dates when consumers will benefit in a major reduction in the applicable VAT rate, which hitherto and still remains today 17%, but for the purposes of what we describe as the reduced VAT rates, 5% will apply on merchandise. Now, one of the reasons that the Chamber has advanced was that they were concerned that on the previous date they had proposed, the 16th, we will have a record or a large number of cruise ships dock in Bastia, and that you will have an overflow of thousands of cruise passengers on December 16th. That, of course, will not provide for the greatest efficiency in terms of our people moving to and fro to execute business on the 16th. Accordingly, the Chamber has proposed December 17th, and on that date, we are expecting a lower cruise traffic to be experienced. And so, Mr. Speaker, we have moved from the 16th and 18th to the 17th and 18th.
The Prime Minister said that he wants consumers to spend, but to do so carefully, as he indicated that the pandemic is still impacting the economy and livelihoods. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
In sports, we're in the creases with cricket. West Indies will have to muster some heroic batting on the fifth and final day if they're to win the second test match and level the two-match series against Sri Lanka. On Thursday, the hosts took an almost unassailable lead with Dhananjaya De Silva's undefeated 153. De Silva's unbroken ninth wicket 107-run partnership at Gele International Stadium with Lasith Mbuldania has helped put Sri Lanka in the driver's seat. At the stumps, they ended day 4 on 328 for 8, giving West Indies the most runs a side has ever had to chase to win a test match. Sri Lanka won the first test by 187 runs. On day 2 of the match, the Windies had the hosts reeling after left-arm spinners Veerasamy Permaul and Jamel Warrican combined for 9 wickets to put West Indies in complete control against Sri Lanka at stumps as they stumbled to 204 all out. Newsroom Guyana spoke to Permaul about his pivotal contribution.
Describe how it feels to get your maiden 500.
First of all, I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity. I'm very overwhelmed by getting the first test 5 wicket haul. I think over the years been working hard to get back in the team and now it really paid off.
What was the key to your successful bowling today?
Well, first of all, I tried to adjust to the condition and to see what pace is good for the wicket.
Is the team feeling confident after today's performance?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, if we would have known from the morning that we would bowl out Sri Lanka for 200 and add and was 69 for 1, we would take that at any time.
Now we know that you have been out of the squad for a few years, out of the team for a few years. What kept you motivated during that period?
Yeah, I always believe in God. I know that at some time I will get an opportunity back again. I didn't know when, but I always believe in God. I know that at some point in life and stage in my career I will get back an opportunity.
And what advice would you give to youngsters that are currently working hard and trying to get into the West Indies setup?
Keep believing God, and once you believe, anything is possible.
And that's our package. Thanks as always for making it PBCJ. We are the People's Station.